Welcome back to another deep dive into the darker side of reality. Today, we're exploring the human body in ways that medical textbooks often gloss over. These are the uncomfortable truths, the disturbing realities, and the horrifying capabilities of the flesh and bone machine you're living in right now. From the moment of birth to the final breath, your body harbors secrets that would make even the bravest among us squeamish. Let's begin this descent into biological horror. Fact 1. Living decay. Your body begins decaying the moment you die, but here's what they don't tell you: the process actually starts while you're still alive. Dead skin cells slew off by the millions every single day, creating most of the dust in your home. Your neurons are dying constantly, never to be replaced. Cellular breakdown is happening in every organ system as you read this. You're in a perpetual state of controlled decay, a biological balancing act between growth and decomposition. The only difference between a living body and a corpse is the speed at which this decay occurs. Even now, parts of you are dying while other parts struggle to regenerate. Fact 2. Psychogenic shutdown. The human pain threshold varies wildly from person to person, but some individuals have experienced pain so severe that their brain essentially performed an emergency shutdown to protect them from the psychological trauma. This phenomenon is called psychogenic shock, where your mind literally can't handle the agony anymore and forces you into unconsciousness. It's your brain's last-ditch circuit breaker, flipping off before the pain destroys your sanity permanently. Victims of extreme torture, severe burns, and catastrophic injuries have reported their consciousness simply vanishing mid-scream, as their brain mercifully pulled the plug on awareness itself. Fact 3. The bacterial you. Your body contains such an overwhelming amount of bacteria that if you were to somehow remove all human cells and leave only the bacterial ones behind, you'd still roughly maintain your recognizable shape. You're more bacteria than human by cell count, a walking colony of microorganisms that happens to have consciousness. These trillions of foreign organisms living on and inside you outnumber your own cells, making you wonder who's really in control. Your skin, your gut, your mouth. Every surface is teeming with microbial life that has its own agenda, its own survival imperatives completely separate from yours. Fact 4. Self-cannibalization. During severe starvation, your body doesn't just politely consume fat reserves and call it a day. Once the fat is depleted, it begins breaking down your muscles for fuel, leaving you weak and wasted. But it doesn't stop there. As starvation continues, your body starts consuming your organs, prioritizing which ones it can sacrifice to keep you alive just a little longer. And in the final, horrific stages, your body even begins breaking down your heart muscle itself. You essentially digest yourself from the inside out, your body feeding on itself in a desperate bid for survival, cannibalizing its own tissue until there's simply nothing left to consume. Fact 5. Conscious bisection. The human body can survive being cut in half at the waist for several agonizing minutes before death finally claims you. During this nightmarish window of time, victims remain fully conscious and aware, their upper body still functioning while completely separated from their lower half. They can speak, scream, and experience unimaginable agony as their nervous system fires off distress signals from the catastrophic trauma. The pain is beyond description as they watch their own bisected body, aware of every second passing before shock and massive blood loss finally grant the mercy of unconsciousness and death. Fact 6. The enemy within. Your immune system, designed to be your greatest protector, is capable of attacking your own body with such savage ferocity that it can kill you faster than most diseases ever could. Autoimmune disorders turn your body's defense system into your worst enemy, convincing it that your own tissues are foreign invaders that must be destroyed. Your immune cells, which should be fighting bacteria and viruses, instead wage war on your joints, your organs, your nervous system. It's a betrayal at the cellular level, your body quite literally committing suicide one attacked cell at a time. Fact 7. The living tomb. The human body can experience something called locked-in syndrome, a condition so terrifying it seems pulled from a nightmare. You're completely conscious and aware, your mind functioning perfectly, but you're unable to move any part of your body or communicate in any way except sometimes, if you're lucky, by blinking your eyes. You're a prisoner trapped inside your own flesh, screaming silently while the world goes on around you. Some victims remain in this state for years, decades even, fully aware but completely cut off from any meaningful interaction with the world. It's perhaps the cruelest joke the human body can play on consciousness itself. Fact 8. Immortal cancer. Cancer cells possess a truly disturbing quality: they're functionally immortal. Unlike your normal cells, which die after dividing a certain number of times, cancer cells can reproduce indefinitely, forever. The HeLa cell line, taken from a cancer patient named Henrietta Lacks in 1951, is still alive and reproducing in laboratories around the world today, decades after the woman herself died. These cells have been to space, used in countless experiments, and have reproduced so many times that if you weighed all the HeLa cells ever grown, they'd outweigh the woman they came from by millions of pounds. The cancer outlived its host and achieved a twisted form of immortality. Fact 9. Water allergy. Your body can develop an allergy to water itself, the very substance that makes up the majority of your physical form. Aquagenic urticaria causes painful burning hives wherever water touches your skin, meaning even your own tears streaming down your face cause you pain. Your sweat burns you. Rain becomes torture. Bathing is agony. Imagine being allergic to the most essential substance for life, unable to escape it because it's literally inside you and all around you. Sufferers must limit their exposure to water to mere minutes per week, living in constant discomfort from the moisture in the air itself. Fact 10. Spare parts. The human body can survive without a shocking number of organs and body parts that you'd think were essential. You can lose your stomach, spleen, one kidney, one lung, your gallbladder, most of your liver, your appendix, and significant portions of your intestines, and still technically live. People have survived with half their brain removed, missing large sections of their digestive tract, and functioning with only a fraction of their original organs. It's a testament to both the body's resilience and redundancy, but also unsettling to realize how much of yourself you could lose and still be forced to survive, diminished and struggling, but alive. We've only scratched the surface of the body's capacity for horror. As we move forward, things get even darker. Let's continue exploring the nightmare that is human biology. Fact 11. Gut betrayal. Decomposition begins in the gut, the very place where life was sustained through digestion. Within minutes of death, the bacteria that helped you digest food and absorb nutrients turn on you and start consuming your body instead. They begin producing gases that bloat your corpse, creating pressure that forces fluids out of every orifice in your body. Your mouth, nose, eyes, and other openings leak decomposition fluids as the bacteria that once served you feast on your remains. The gut, which kept you alive, becomes the epicenter of your body's return to the earth. Fact 12. The 6-minute window. Your brain can survive for approximately 6 minutes without oxygen before irreversible damage begins to occur, and during those 6 terrifying minutes, you may remain conscious. People who have been resuscitated from drowning or cardiac arrest describe experiencing hallucinations, overwhelming terror, and the sensation of drowning in darkness itself. Time seems to stretch and distort as your oxygen-starved brain misfires, creating nightmarish visions while you're fully aware that you're dying. Those 6 minutes can feel like an eternity of suffocating horror before brain death mercifully begins, and consciousness fades away forever. Fact 13. Shattered concrete. Bones are 4 times stronger than concrete, capable of withstanding incredible forces under normal circumstances. But they're still fragile enough that certain twisting impacts can shatter them into dozens of jagged pieces, creating what's called a comminuted fracture. Compound fractures, where the broken bone pierces through skin, muscle, and sometimes organs. Turn your own skeleton into weapons against your soft tissue. The bone fragments can sever arteries, puncture lungs, and create internal injuries that are sometimes more deadly than the initial trauma that broke the bone. Fact 14. Stone disease. The human body can develop calcifications almost anywhere, slowly turning soft, living tissue into literal bone or stone-like masses. People have grown bone in their muscles, in their organs, in their brain tissue, even in their eyes. This ectopic calcification causes your body to slowly petrify from within, turning flexible tissue rigid and dysfunctional. Some conditions cause this to progress across the entire body, gradually transforming you into a living statue. Your soft tissues replaced by stone, while you remain conscious and trapped in an increasingly immobile form. Fact 15. Frozen phantom. Your body can experience phantom sensations from amputated limbs for decades after the loss, but for some unfortunate souls, these phantom limbs become frozen in excruciating positions that can never be relieved. Imagine feeling your missing hand clenched in a painful fist, so tight your phantom fingernails dig into your phantom palm, and no amount of attempted movement can release it. The pain is real even though the limb is gone. Your nervous system, maintaining a map of body parts that no longer exist and trapping you in perpetual agony from an injury you can't see or touch. Fact 16. The thirst killer. Rabies has a near 100% fatality rate once symptoms appear, and the way it kills you is particularly cruel. The virus causes hydrophobia so severe that victims cannot swallow water despite dying of thirst, the body convulsing violently at even the sight of liquid. You literally die of dehydration while surrounded by water you cannot force yourself to drink, your throat spasming shut at every attempt. The terror of rabies doesn't just come from the disease itself, but from the psychological torture of dying from thirst while fully conscious and aware, your body refusing to let you do the one thing that might bring comfort. Fact 17. Skeletal mining. The human body can cannibalize its own bones for calcium when you're deficient in this essential mineral. Osteoporosis is essentially your body mining your skeleton, leaching calcium from your bones to maintain vital functions elsewhere, leaving your skeletal structure brittle and prone to catastrophic fractures. Your bones become hollow and fragile, breaking from minor impacts that would normally cause no harm. Hip fractures from simply standing up, spinal compression fractures from coughing, ribs breaking from a hug your skeleton betrays you, weakened by your own body's desperate need for minerals it can't obtain elsewhere. Fact 18. Face mites. Your skin is colonized by millions of microscopic mites called demodex that live in your pores and hair follicles, creatures so small you can't see or feel them. They mate on your face while you sleep, their entire life cycle playing out in the landscape of your skin. And here's the disturbing part. They have no anus, so they simply explode with accumulated waste when they die, releasing their entire life's worth of feces onto your face all at once. Right now, as you read this, thousands of these creatures are crawling across your face, and there's absolutely nothing you can do to stop them. Fact 19. 3-day death. Dehydration can kill you in as little as 3 days, but the death is agonizing and drawn out. Your blood thickens into sludge, making your heart strain to pump it through increasingly constricted vessels. Your organs fail sequentially as they're deprived of the fluid they need to function. Your brain swells inside your skull as cellular dehydration disrupts the delicate fluid balance, causing delirium, hallucinations, and psychotic episodes. You might see things that aren't there, forget who you are, and experience your personality disintegrating as your desiccated brain misfires. Death from thirst is anything but peaceful. Fact 20. The parasitic twin. The human body can develop tumors called teratomas that contain teeth, hair, bone, and even primitive eyes and brain tissue. These growths are essentially your twin that never fully formed, absorbing into your body during early development and growing inside you as a parasitic mass of partially developed body parts. Some teratomas have been found with recognizable structures like fingers, portions of a face, or even beating heart tissue. It's your sibling, twisted and incomplete, growing as a tumor inside you. A reminder of what might have been a separate person if development had gone differently. The human body's ability to fail, mutate, and turn against itself is truly staggering. But we're just getting started with the catalog of horrors your flesh is capable of. Fact 21. Fecal time bomb. Your appendix can rupture without any warning, suddenly spilling fecal bacteria throughout your abdominal cavity in an event called peritonitis. Without immediate surgical intervention, sepsis sets in as the infection overwhelms your body's defenses, consuming your internal organs over the course of days. Your abdomen fills with infected fluid, your intestines become inflamed and begin shutting down, and eventually your organs fail one by one as the bacterial infection spreads through your bloodstream. What starts as stomach pain can progress to death in less than a week, all from a small, supposedly vestigial organ. Fact 22. Carrot finger. The human jaw has enough force to bite through your own finger as easily as biting through a carrot, approximately the same amount of pressure and resistance. The only thing stopping you from accidentally biting off your own finger is your brain's built-in safety mechanism that prevents you from applying full bite force to your own flesh. But this protection can fail under extreme stress, drug influence, or certain psychological conditions. People have bitten through their own fingers during seizures, severe mental breaks, or under the influence of substances that override these natural limiters. Fact 23. Internal shredding. Frostbite doesn't just freeze your tissue, it causes ice crystals to form inside your cells, physically shredding them from within like microscopic knives. The ice crystals rupture cell membranes, destroy cellular structures, and turn your living tissue into crystallized slush. As the frozen tissue thaws, it turns black and begins to rot while still attached to your body, the dead flesh becoming gangrenous and toxic. The tissue has to be surgically removed before it poisons your bloodstream, meaning you watch parts of your body literally die and turn to necrotic sludge while you're still alive. Fact 24. Surgical awareness. Your body can develop resistance to anesthesia over time, or in rare cases, some people are naturally resistant to its effects. This means you could wake up during surgery and feel everything, every cut, every clamp, every suture, while completely unable to move or scream due to the paralytic drugs. This nightmare scenario of intraoperative awareness happens to approximately 1 in 1,000 patients. Victims describe feeling like they're being tortured, fully conscious as they're cut open, experiencing pain beyond description while trapped in a paralyzed body, unable to alert anyone that they're awake and aware. Fact 25. Sponge brain. Prion diseases like Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease turn your brain into a sponge-like mass riddled with holes, and it's 100% fatal with no cure or treatment. You remain conscious as your brain literally dissolves, losing cognitive function piece by piece. First you forget words, then faces, then how to walk, how to speak, eventually even how to swallow. You're aware of your mind crumbling, watching yourself disappear from the inside as the prions corrupt your brain proteins, each one converting others in an unstoppable cascade of neural destruction. Death usually comes within months of symptom onset, but you're conscious for most of that decline. Fact 26. Silent rupture. The human body can experience spontaneous internal bleeding without any external injury or warning signs. Blood vessels in the brain, gut, or lungs can suddenly burst, flooding internal cavities with blood. An aneurysm can rupture in your brain, filling your skull with blood and killing you before you even understand what's happening. Arterial bleeds in the abdomen can drain your blood internally, leaving you pale and dying while showing no external wounds. You could be having a conversation and suddenly drop dead from a blood vessel that simply gave out without any apparent reason. Fact 27. Eyeball protrusion. Your eyes can literally pop out of your skull under sufficient pressure or trauma, a condition called globe luxation. The optic nerve keeps them attached like a tether. but the eyeballs themselves can protrude several inches from their sockets during severe facial trauma, violent coughing fits, or extreme pressure changes. The eye dangles there, still connected and feeding visual information to your brain, while you stare at your own displaced eyeball. Emergency treatment involves pushing the eye back into the socket, but the trauma often causes permanent vision damage or blindness in the affected eye. Fact 28. Living rot. Necrotizing fasciitis, commonly called flesh-eating bacteria, can destroy tissue at a rate of several inches per hour once it takes hold. You can literally watch your own flesh blacken, swell, and die in real time as the infection spreads across your body. The bacteria release toxins that liquefy your tissue, turning your skin and muscle into necrotic slush that sloughs off. Without aggressive surgical debridement, cutting away all the dead and dying tissue, the infection continues spreading until it kills you. Survivors often lose entire limbs or large portions of their body to the surgeon's knife. Fact 29. Cooking alive. The human body can survive extreme heat for only minutes before your proteins begin to denature and cook, just like an egg in a frying pan. At 140 degrees F internal temperature, your brain and organs literally start cooking from the inside, the proteins that make up your cells unfolding and becoming permanently damaged. Heat stroke doesn't just make you sick, it cooks your brain tissue, causing permanent neurological damage, seizures, and often death. Survivors frequently have permanent cognitive impairment because you can't uncook a cooked brain any more than you can uncook an egg. Fact 30. Metal dissolver. Your stomach acid is strong enough to dissolve metal, with a pH between 1 and 2 incredibly corrosive. It can break down almost anything you swallow, which is why stomach acid burns are so devastating when the acid refluxes into your esophagus, or in worse cases, leaks from a perforated ulcer into your abdominal cavity. The acid doesn't just burn, it dissolves tissue on contact, creating holes through the walls of your digestive tract. A perforated stomach ulcer can leak acid into your body cavity, dissolving your internal organs from the outside, while you're fully conscious and aware of the caustic destruction. From infections that consume you alive to temperatures that cook your insides, the fragility of human flesh becomes more apparent with each fact. Let's dive deeper into the abyss. Fact 31. Gravity death. Blood can pool in your limbs when you stand too long, a condition called orthostatic hypotension. In extreme cases, blood pressure drops so suddenly and severely that you can suffer fatal brain damage from oxygen deprivation before you even hit the ground. Your brain is starved of oxygenated blood for just seconds, but that's enough to cause irreversible damage or death. Guards who stand at attention for hours, people with certain medical conditions, or those on specific medications can experience this sudden drop in blood pressure that causes them to collapse. And sometimes they never wake up, killed by simply standing still too long. Fact 32. Stone mind. The human body can develop calcium deposits in the brain that cause profound personality changes, vivid hallucinations, and violent behavior completely out of character for the person. These calcifications, which show up as bright spots on brain scans, can turn a gentle person into a violent stranger, alter memories, create false beliefs, and change someone's entire personality. It's like your brain is slowly turning to stone, the calcified areas disrupting neural pathways and creating a new, disturbing version of you, while the old you watches helplessly from somewhere inside, unable to regain control. Fact 33. Spontaneous collapse. Your lungs can collapse spontaneously without any injury, trauma, or warning whatsoever. Spontaneous pneumothorax feels like being stabbed in the chest with a knife, a sudden, sharp pain as air escapes into the chest cavity, and your lung deflates like a punctured balloon. It can happen while you're simply sitting still, sleeping, or doing nothing strenuous at all. One moment you're breathing normally, the next you're gasping for air as your lung crumples in on itself, each breath becoming a struggle as the remaining lung tries to compensate for its collapsed twin. Fact 34. Human gelatin. Certain venomous creatures produce toxins that can cause your blood to clot throughout your entire body simultaneously, a condition called disseminated intravascular coagulation. You essentially turn to gel from the inside, with thousands of microscopic clots blocking every blood vessel in your body. This causes both clotting and bleeding at the same time. Clots form everywhere while your blood's clotting factors are used up, leading to uncontrollable bleeding from every orifice. You're simultaneously too thick and too thin, your blood destroying you from the inside in two contradictory ways at once. Fact 35. Cascade failure. The human body can experience total organ failure in under an hour during severe septic shock. Every major system shuts down in sequence like dominoes falling. First, your blood pressure plummets, then your lungs begin failing, your kidneys shut down, your liver stops processing toxins, your heart struggles and eventually gives out. It's a cascade of catastrophic failures, each one triggering the next, as infection overwhelms every defense your body has. Medical intervention can sometimes slow this cascade, but once it begins, death often follows despite the best efforts of modern medicine. Fact 36. Intestinal strangulation. Your intestines can twist on themselves, cutting off blood supply in a condition called volvulus. The trapped segment of intestine dies quickly without blood flow, and gangrene sets in as the tissue rots inside you. The dead intestine leaks bacteria and toxins into your bloodstream, poisoning you with decomposing tissue that's still part of your body. Without emergency surgery to remove the dead section and untwist the remaining intestines, you die of sepsis as your own rotting gut kills you from within. Fact 37. The Walking Dead. Radiation poisoning doesn't kill you immediately, which might be a mercy if it did. Instead, you experience a latent period where you actually feel relatively fine, almost normal, before your cells begin dying en masse. Then your hair falls out in clumps, your skin sloughs off in sheets, you bleed from every orifice as your blood vessels break down, and your immune system collapses, leaving you vulnerable to every infection. Death can take weeks or even months, and you're conscious through much of this slow dissolution, watching your body literally fall apart piece by piece. Fact 38. DNA allergy. The human body can develop allergies to its own DNA through autoimmune conditions like lupus. Your immune system attacks your genetic material at the most fundamental level, essentially making your body allergic to itself at the level of the building blocks of life. Every cell in your body contains the very thing your immune system has decided to destroy, creating a war that can never be won because you can't separate yourself from your own DNA. The immune system attacks joints, organs, skin, anywhere your DNA exists, which is everywhere. Fact 39. Bone bombs. Your bones contain enough phosphorus to make approximately 2,200 match heads, all stored inside your skeleton. When bodies burn at high enough temperatures, such as in cremation or intense fires, this phosphorus can ignite, causing bones to explode with audible pops and cracks. Crematorium operators report hearing these explosions during the cremation process as the superheated phosphorus in the bones combusts and fractures the skeletal structure. Your skeleton contains enough flammable material to essentially turn your bones into bombs under the right conditions. Fact 40. The rot smell. Gangrene produces a smell so distinctively putrid and overwhelming that experienced doctors claim they can diagnose it from across a room without even seeing the patient. It's the smell of your own flesh rotting while still attached to your living body, the odor of decay while you're still conscious and aware. The gangrenous tissue releases gases and compounds as it decomposes, creating a stench that's described as unforgettable and haunting. It's the smell of death, but you're not dead yet, just rotting in pieces while the rest of you lives on. The human body's structural weaknesses and chemical vulnerabilities create endless opportunities for catastrophic failure. We're approaching the halfway point of this descent into biological horror. Fact 41. Conscious decapitation. The human brain can remain active for up to 30 seconds after decapitation, and there's substantial historical and scientific evidence that consciousness persists during this time. This means you may be fully aware that you've been beheaded, able to see your own body from your detached head's perspective, possibly able to move your eyes and mouth for several seconds. Reports from the French Revolution describe executed heads responding to their names being called, eyes focusing on speakers. The oxygen in your blood allows your brain those final, horrific moments of awareness before everything goes black forever. Fact 42. Skeletal thorns. Your body can develop bone spurs that grow like thorns from your skeleton, piercing through muscle and sometimes even protruding through skin. These calcified growths called osteophytes can appear anywhere bones exist: your spine, your joints, your extremities. They grow slowly over time, causing increasing pain as they press on nerves, tear through soft tissue, and restrict movement. Large bone spurs on the spine can press on the spinal cord, causing paralysis, while those in joints make every movement feel like you're grinding against sharpened bone. Fact 43. Extremity death. Prolonged exposure to extreme cold causes your body to shut down circulation to your extremities in a desperate attempt to preserve your core and keep vital organs functioning. Your fingers, toes, nose, and ears freeze solid and die while you're still conscious and aware, the tissue becoming hard and brittle like frozen meat. You can sometimes hear your frozen fingers crack when you try to move them. The dead tissue eventually mummifies, or more likely, becomes gangrenous and has to be amputated. You watch your extremities die and turn black while the rest of you lives on, sacrificed by your body's brutal survival calculations. Fact 44. Half brain. The human body can survive with only a fraction of its brain intact. Hemispherectomy patients have literally half their brain surgically removed to treat severe seizures or other conditions, and yet they can still function, speak, form memories, and live relatively normal lives. This speaks to both the brain's remarkable plasticity and the disturbing reality of how much of your brain you don't actually need. It raises uncomfortable questions about consciousness and identity. If you can lose half your brain and still be you, what does that say about the nature of self? Fact 45. Tree man syndrome. Your skin can develop a condition called epidermodysplasia verruciformis, where it grows continuously without shedding, forming bark-like growths that cover your entire body. Sufferers develop thick, rough, brown growths that spread across their skin, making them resemble tree bark. These growths can become so extensive that they restrict movement, cover the face, hands, and feet, and transform the person's appearance into something barely recognizable as human. The condition is caused by an inability to fight off certain HPV strains, turning your skin into a forest of wart-like protrusions that just keep growing. Fact 46. Silent assassin. Blood clots can form in your veins and break free, traveling through your circulatory system like silent assassins waiting for the perfect place to strike. When they lodge in your lungs, it's called a pulmonary embolism. Death can occur in seconds with no warning as the clot blocks blood flow to your lungs. If they reach your brain, it's a stroke, potentially killing you or leaving you paralyzed in an instant. If they hit your heart, it's a heart attack. These clots drift through your bloodstream, invisible and deadly, until they find a vessel too narrow to pass through, and then they kill you in seconds. Fact 47. Waking paralysis. The human body can experience sleep paralysis where you're fully conscious but completely unable to move any part of your body except your eyes. Many sufferers report sensing malevolent presences in the room, seeing shadow figures, or experiencing vivid hallucinations of being crushed or suffocated while trapped in their paralyzed bodies. Your brain is awake, but your body is still locked in sleep mode, creating a terrifying disconnect where you're aware but helpless. Episodes can last for seconds or minutes that feel like hours, leaving victims in psychological distress even after movement returns. Fact 48. Regeneration hell. Your liver can regenerate even after losing up to 75% of its mass, which sounds miraculous until you realize what it means. During the regeneration process, which can take months, you're essentially functioning with a critically damaged toxin filter. Poisons and waste products accumulate in your blood because your diminished liver can't keep up with the body's demands. You experience jaundice, confusion, nausea, and potentially hepatic encephalopathy, where toxins affect your brain, altering your personality and cognitive function. You're toxic from within while your liver desperately tries to rebuild itself. Fact 49. Brain parasites. Certain parasites can reach your brain by traveling through your bloodstream or even crawling up through your nasal passages into your skull. Once there, they create cysts that physically alter your behavior and personality by pressing on different brain regions. Toxoplasma gondii, for instance, is thought to alter human behavior, making infected individuals more impulsive and less risk-averse. These parasites are literally controlling you from inside your brain, changing who you are without your knowledge or consent, turning you into a puppet for their own reproductive purposes. Fact 50. Maternal war. The human body can develop antibodies against pregnancy through Rh incompatibility. A mother's immune system can attack her own developing fetus as if it were a foreign invader, targeting the baby's red blood cells and potentially killing it before birth. Each pregnancy can make the condition worse as the mother develops more antibodies. Without medical intervention, subsequent pregnancies become increasingly dangerous, the mother's body treating her own children as enemies to be destroyed. It's biological warfare at the most intimate level possible. The body's ability to survive horrific damage while simultaneously being vulnerable to microscopic threats reveals the paradox of human biology. The nightmare continues. Fact 51. Dying teeth. Your teeth are essentially exposed bone covered by the hardest substance in your body, enamel, but they have zero ability to heal themselves. Once enamel is damaged, it's permanent. Tooth decay is essentially the progressive death of exposed bone sitting in your mouth, slowly rotting away while still attached to your living jaw. The decay spreads downward into the softer dentin and eventually reaches the nerve, causing excruciating pain as infection sets into the dying tooth. Untreated, the infection can spread into your jawbone, creating abscesses that can lead to sepsis and death from an infected tooth. Fact 52. Liquefaction. Ebola virus causes you to bleed from every orifice in your body. Your eyes weep blood, your nose streams it, you vomit it, it pours from your rectum. But it's even worse than that. The virus liquefies your internal organs while you're still alive, breaking down the connective tissue that holds your organs together. Your internal organs essentially melt into a bloody soup while you remain conscious through much of the process, experiencing unimaginable pain as your body destroys itself from the inside. The mortality rate can exceed 90% in some outbreaks, and death is neither quick nor merciful. Fact 53. Brain bombs. The human body can develop cysts anywhere, including deep within the brain. These fluid-filled sacs can grow silently for years or even decades without causing any symptoms whatsoever. Then one day they rupture, and suddenly you're having catastrophic neurological symptoms, seizures, stroke-like symptoms, sudden severe headaches, loss of function. The rupture can cause brain damage, bleeding into the brain tissue, or death depending on the cyst's size and location. You can live your entire life with a ticking time bomb in your skull and never know it's there until the day it explodes. Fact 54. Broken heart death. Your heart can literally break in response to extreme emotional stress. Takotsubo cardiomyopathy, commonly called broken heart syndrome, causes the heart muscle to weaken suddenly and dramatically, often triggered by devastating news, grief, or intense fear. The left ventricle changes shape, ballooning outward and unable to pump blood effectively. While it's usually temporary, it can be fatal, causing heart failure, dangerous arrhythmias, or cardiac arrest. People have died from grief, fear, or shock, their hearts literally failing because their emotions were too much for their cardiovascular system to handle. Fact 55. Skeletal agony. Bones can develop cancer that spreads throughout the skeleton in a process called metastatic bone disease. This is described by patients and doctors alike as the most painful form of cancer, causing such severe pain that even the strongest opioids can barely touch it. The cancer weakens the bones, causing fractures with the slightest movement, bones breaking from simply rolling over in bed or from the weight of your own body. Each breath can cause rib fractures. Standing can shatter your femur. You become a prisoner in a body where any movement might cause your skeleton to break. Fact 56. Memory torture. The human body can develop aversion so strong that even thinking about certain substances causes violent physical reactions. Trauma victims who have experienced severe poisoning sometimes vomit or experience seizures just from seeing or smelling the substance that hurt them, even years later. Your body remembers at a level beyond conscious thought, creating involuntary responses to perceived threats. Some chemotherapy patients develop such strong associations that they vomit at the mere thought of treatment or upon seeing the hospital, their body reacting to the memory of toxicity. Fact 57. Elephantine limbs. Your lymphatic system can become blocked through parasitic infection or damage, causing limbs to swell to grotesque proportions in a condition called elephantiasis. A single leg can grow to weigh over 100 pounds, the skin stretched so thin and tight that it weeps fluid constantly, dripping lymph and plasma. The affected limb becomes increasingly immobile, a massive weight that you have to drag around, prone to infections that further damage the already compromised tissue. The condition is progressive and largely irreversible, your limb becoming larger and more dysfunctional over time. Fact 58. Sagging brain. Spinal fluid can leak from tiny tears in the dura, the protective membrane around your brain and spinal cord. When this happens, your brain loses its cushioning and literally sags inside your skull under its own weight, pulling on pain-sensitive structures. The resulting headaches are so severe that sufferers describe them as the worst pain imaginable, unable to lift their heads from a horizontal position without screaming in agony. The brain physically droops downward when you're upright, stretching nerves and blood vessels in ways they were never meant to be stretched. Some cases require surgical repair to patch the leak and restore normal pressure. Fact 59. Glass joints. The human body can develop calcium deposits in joints that crystallize into sharp, angular structures that feel like shards of glass grinding together with every movement. Pseudogout creates crystals of calcium pyrophosphate that lodge in joint spaces, causing agony with the slightest motion. Walking feels like your knees are full of broken glass. Moving your fingers creates a grinding sensation as crystals scrape across bone and cartilage. The condition can be chronic, meaning years or decades of feeling like your skeleton is full of shrapnel. Fact 60. Living straitjacket. Your fascia, the connective tissue that wraps your muscles and organs like a web throughout your entire body, can thicken and tighten into inflexible sheets. This causes chronic pain and progressive loss of mobility that no treatment can fully reverse. As the fascia contracts, it restricts your movement like a slowly tightening straitjacket made of your own tissue. You become imprisoned in your own body, each year bringing less flexibility, more pain, until simple movements like reaching overhead or bending down become impossible. Your own connective tissue strangles your mobility. We've crossed the halfway point in this catalog of corporeal horrors. The remaining facts will explore even darker territories of what your body can endure and inflict upon itself. Fact 61. Crystallized veins. Blood can crystallize inside your veins and arteries, forming cholesterol crystals that take on sharp, jagged structures. These crystals don't just block blood flow, they actively tear through blood vessel walls from the inside, creating microtears that lead to inflammation, scarring, and eventually complete vessel blockage. Your own blood becomes weaponized against you, the crystals acting like microscopic knives slicing through your circulatory system. This contributes to atherosclerosis and can lead to heart attacks, strokes, or peripheral artery disease as your crystallized blood destroys your vessels from within. Fact 62. Colonial collapse. The human body can develop such severe vitamin deficiencies that everything starts falling apart. Scurvy, caused by vitamin C deficiency, causes your gums to rot away and your teeth to fall out as your body loses the ability to maintain collagen. But it gets worse. Old wounds that healed years ago spontaneously reopen as the scar tissue disintegrates. Your body is constantly breaking down and rebuilding collagen, and without vitamin C, the breakdown continues but the rebuilding stops. You literally fall apart at the seams as your body's connective tissue collapses. Fact 63. Fatting vision. Your corneas can scar and cloud over from damage, disease, or degeneration, leaving you to see the world through an increasingly opaque film. It's like looking through a window that's gradually being covered in frost. Your vision fades not to black but to white as the scarring progresses. Total blindness can occur as the cornea becomes completely opaque, not because your eye stops working, but because light can no longer pass through the clouded tissue. You're looking through a wall of scar tissue, your eye functioning perfectly behind it but unable to receive any visual information. Fact 64. Crushing skeleton. Certain genetic conditions cause bones to grow abnormally thick and heavy, the skeleton becoming increasingly dense and massive. Eventually, it becomes so heavy that it literally crushes internal organs under its own weight. Your ribs compress your lungs and heart. Your skull thickens and presses on your brain. The bones in your spine compact your spinal cord. Your skeleton, which should protect your organs, instead slowly crushes them as it grows denser and heavier. You're being squeezed to death from the inside by your own bones. Fact 65. Pain from nothing. The human body can develop neural pain pathways that persist long after injuries have healed completely. Phantom pain becomes permanent, your nervous system creating agony from nothing, firing pain signals about injuries that no longer exist or body parts that have been amputated. Your brain has essentially learned to feel pain, creating new neural pathways dedicated solely to suffering. No injury exists, no damage remains, but the pain is as real as any physical wound because your nervous system has been permanently altered to feel it. Fact 66. Kidney daggers. Your kidneys can develop stones that grow large enough to fill the entire organ, creating what's called a staghorn calculus. These jagged crystal formations can be several inches across, branching structures that fill the kidney's collecting system. When they move or when doctors attempt to break them up, they tear through delicate kidney tissue, causing pain that's frequently compared to childbirth or worse. The stones can cause permanent kidney damage, infections, and bleeding, essentially destroying the kidney from within as the crystals grow larger and more complex. Fact 67. Ticking time bombs. Brain aneurysms can exist for decades without causing any symptoms whatsoever, silently growing in the blood vessels of your brain like balloons slowly inflating. Most people never know they have one until it ruptures without warning, flooding the skull with blood. The rupture feels like being struck by lightning or hit in the head with a bat, sudden, catastrophic, often fatal. About 50% of people who experience a ruptured brain aneurysm die before reaching the hospital. You could have one right now, gradually expanding, and you wouldn't know until the moment it kills you. Fact 68. Faceless survival. The human body can survive total facial removal, whether from trauma, disease, or surgical necessity. Modern medicine can keep people alive even after losing their entire face to flesh-eating bacteria, accidents, or cancer, leaving just exposed skull where their face used to be. They can still see through exposed eye sockets, still eat through a hole where their mouth was, still breathe through exposed nasal cavities. It's survival at the most nightmarish level imaginable, your consciousness intact while your identity has been literally removed from your skull. Fact 69. Gas death. Your intestines produce such massive amounts of gas through normal digestive processes that without the ability to expel it, your abdomen would expand until your diaphragm couldn't function, and you'd essentially asphyxiate from the inside. People with complete intestinal obstructions experience this horror. Their abdomen swells grotesquely as gas accumulates, putting pressure on the diaphragm and lungs until breathing becomes nearly impossible. The gas has nowhere to go, so it just builds and builds until surgical intervention is required to release it. Fact 70. Superbugs. Antibiotic-resistant bacteria can colonize your body and evolve to become immune to every known treatment in our medical arsenal. These superbugs cause infections that medicine simply cannot cure. Methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, carbapenem-resistant Enterobacteriaceae, and other resistant organisms can cause infections that are essentially untreatable, forcing doctors to watch helplessly as the infection spreads. We're entering an era where common infections might once again become death sentences, where simple cuts could kill you because the bacteria have evolved beyond our ability to fight them. The relentless march of biological deterioration continues. Your body is a ticking clock counting down to inevitable failure through countless possible pathways. Fact 71. Human fossils. The human body can calcify after death under the right conditions, turning into a stone-like mass in a process called petrification or calcification. Bodies buried in certain mineral-rich soils or waters can have minerals slowly replace organic tissues, turning flesh and bone into literal rock. Corpses have been found decades or even centuries later transformed into geological formations, their bodies now stone, but still maintaining their human shape. You can become a fossil, your soft tissues replaced by minerals, a permanent stone monument to your former living self. Fact 72. Tendon snap. Your tendons can snap under stress like overstretched rubber bands, the sound of a major tendon rupture described by witnesses as similar to a gunshot. The Achilles tendon, for instance, can completely rupture with an audible pop that can be heard across a room, the separated ends recoiling up into your leg like a broken cable under tension. The pain is immediate and overwhelming, but perhaps worse is the feeling of wrongness. Your body no longer works correctly, the mechanical connection between muscle and bone severed, leaving the affected limb partially disabled. Fact 73. Burn thickening. Severe burns covering large portions of your body cause you to lose so much fluid through the damaged skin that your blood becomes thick like syrup, too viscous for your heart to pump effectively. You can die of dehydration despite receiving intravenous fluids, your blood thickening faster than doctors can thin it. The burned skin weeps plasma and fluid continuously, massive amounts leaving your body every hour. Your heart strains to push the thickened blood through your vessels, often leading to cardiac failure even if you survive the initial burn trauma. Fact 74. Living statue. The human body can develop fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva, a genetic condition where bone grows outside the skeleton in soft tissue. Muscles, tendons, and ligaments slowly turn to bone, freezing you in place like a living statue. Attempting to surgically remove the extra bone just triggers more bone growth at the surgical site. Eventually, you can't move your jaw, can't bend your joints, can't move at all as your entire body becomes encased in a prison of ectopic bone. You remain conscious and aware, trapped in an increasingly immobile body that's turning to stone around you. Fact 75. Oxygen starvation. Your cornea is unique in the human body. It has no blood supply and gets its oxygen directly from the air around it. If you cover your eyes completely for extended periods, preventing oxygen from reaching the cornea, the cells begin dying from hypoxia while you're awake and aware. Extended wear contact lenses that don't allow oxygen permeability can cause this, slowly suffocating your corneal cells. The dying cells can lead to infections, scarring, and vision loss, all because a part of your body literally needs to breathe air to survive. Fact 76. Nitrogen bubbles. Rapid pressure changes can cause nitrogen dissolved in your blood and tissues to come out of solution and form bubbles, just like opening a shaken soda bottle. This condition, called decompression sickness or the bends, causes excruciating pain as these bubbles expand in your joints, muscles, and tissues. If bubbles form in your spinal cord, you can be paralyzed. If they block circulation to vital organs, you can die as the gas bubbles act like air embolisms, cutting off blood flow to critical tissues. Your own blood essentially fizzes like champagne, but instead of celebration, it brings agony and death. Fact 77. Delayed rejection. The human body can reject transplanted organs years or even decades after successful surgery and apparent acceptance. Your immune system can suddenly decide, after years of tolerance, that the foreign organ must be destroyed. It launches an attack that progressively damages the transplanted organ until it fails completely. Liver, kidney, heart, it doesn't matter. One day your body just decides that the organ keeping you alive is actually an enemy and begins destroying it. The rejection can be slow or rapid, but the outcome is often the same: organ failure and the need for another transplant if you survive. Fact 78. Delayed cancer. Your cells can sustain such severe damage from UV radiation that they turn cancerous decades after the initial exposure. That sunburn you got as a child could manifest as melanoma when you're in your 50s or 60s, the damaged DNA finally accumulating enough mutations to turn cancerous after years of replication errors. The skin cancer that kills you might have started from sun exposure that happened before you were old enough to remember it. Your body remembers every insult, every injury, and sometimes it takes decades for the consequences to appear. Fact 79. Eternal wounds. Certain flesh wounds can develop into chronic, non-healing infections that never fully close, creating perpetual open sores that weep constantly and resist all treatment. Diabetic ulcers, venous stasis ulcers, and pressure sores can persist for years or even decades. Painful open wounds that refuse to heal despite antibiotics, wound care, and medical intervention. The wound becomes a permanent feature of your body, constantly at risk of spreading into deeper tissue or becoming septic. You live with an open wound that will likely be with you for the rest of your life. Fact 80. Muscle destruction. The human body can experience muscle cramps so severe that the contractions literally tear muscle fibers apart and can even fracture bones. The pain is indescribable, your own muscle generating enough force to rip itself to shreds or snap the bones it's attached to. Severe electrolyte imbalances, dehydration, or certain toxins can trigger these devastating cramps. Ribs can be broken by the intercostal muscles cramping. Spines can be compressed by back muscle spasms, and limbs can be rendered useless by muscles that have torn themselves apart through uncontrolled contraction. The final stretch of our journey through bodily horrors awaits. These last facts reveal the ultimate fragility of the human form. Fact 81. Vascular balloons. Your blood vessels can develop weak points in their walls that balloon outward under blood pressure, creating aneurysms. These can form anywhere in your body: your brain, your aorta, your abdominal arteries. They're silent time bombs, most causing no symptoms until they rupture. An aortic aneurysm rupture has about a 90% mortality rate. You bleed out internally in minutes as your body's main artery tears open. You might feel fine one moment, then experience sudden catastrophic pain as the aneurysm bursts, and you die from massive internal bleeding before help can arrive. Fact 82. Muscle poisoning. Certain toxins, traumas, or conditions can cause your muscles to break down so rapidly that muscle proteins flood into your bloodstream, a condition called rhabdomyolysis. The breakdown products, particularly myoglobin, are toxic to kidneys and can clog the kidney tubules, causing acute kidney failure within hours. Your own muscle tissue, as it dissolves, poisons your kidneys to death. The muscle breakdown can be so severe that you can see your own muscle tissue in your urine, which turns dark brown or red as the muscle proteins are filtered out. Fact 83. The impalement paradox. The human body can survive being impaled through vital organs if the object remains in place, acting as a plug that prevents massive bleeding. But the moment the impaling object is removed, you can die within seconds as blood pours into body cavities without the object blocking the wound. This creates a nightmarish scenario where the object killing you is also keeping you alive, and its removal, which seems logical, is actually what causes death. Doctors must carefully remove impaling objects in surgery where they can control the bleeding, because pulling it out in the field almost guarantees death. Fact 84. Blood cancer. Your white blood cells, which should protect you from infection, can turn cancerous and multiply out of control in conditions like leukemia or lymphoma. The cancerous white cells flood your bloodstream, crowding out healthy blood cells and leaving you defenseless against disease. Your bone marrow churns out millions of defective cells that can't fight infection, can't carry oxygen, can't clot blood. You become vulnerable to every infection, severely anemic and prone to bleeding. The very cells designed to protect you become the agents of your destruction. Fact 85. Hardening organs. Connective tissue diseases like scleroderma can cause your organs to harden into useless masses of scar tissue. Progressive systemic sclerosis slowly turns your insides into inflexible, non-functional tissue. Your lungs become stiff and can't expand, your esophagus hardens and you can't swallow, your heart muscle becomes rigid and can't pump effectively. You're slowly turning to scar tissue from the inside out, your organs losing their function as they're replaced by hard, fibrous material. Death usually comes from organ failure as your body essentially petrifies. Fact 86. Central sensitization. The human body can develop such extreme sensitivity to pain that even the lightest touch feels like severe injury. Central sensitization syndrome rewires your nervous system, amplifying pain signals to absurd degrees. A gentle touch feels like being burned. Clothing against your skin feels like sandpaper. Wind on your face causes agony. Your nervous system has become stuck in overdrive, interpreting every sensation as pain. There's no injury, no damage, but the suffering is absolutely real because your pain processing has been fundamentally broken. Fact 87. Human bite infection. Your saliva contains such a rich mixture of bacteria that a human bite can cause infections worse than many animal bites, including those from dogs or cats. The wound can rapidly become necrotic, the tissue dying and turning black as the infection spreads. Flesh can rot away from a human bite, sometimes requiring amputation of the affected area to prevent sepsis. The bacteria in human saliva include species that are particularly good at causing tissue destruction, and the pressure of human jaws drives this bacteria deep into the wound where it can flourish. Fact 88. Cooked brain. Extreme heat exposure, whether from fever, environmental heat, or heat stroke, causes your proteins to denature permanently in a process identical to cooking. At internal temperatures above 105-106 degrees F, your brain literally starts cooking like an egg in a pan. The proteins that make up your neurons unfold and clump together, becoming permanently damaged. Even if you survive heat stroke, the neurological damage is often irreversible memory problems, personality changes, reduced cognitive function. You can't uncook a cooked egg, and you can't uncook cooked brain tissue. Fact 89. Parasitic cysts. The human body can develop cysts in the liver caused by parasites like Echinococcus, growing to massive sizes over years. These hydatid cysts can become larger than a football, filled with infectious fluid and new parasite larvae. When they rupture from trauma or spontaneous rupture, they spill this infectious fluid throughout the abdominal cavity, triggering severe allergic reactions and spreading the infection to other organs. The rupture can cause anaphylactic shock and death, or seed new cysts throughout your body as the parasites spread to new locations. Fact 90. Thyroid storm. Your thyroid gland can malfunction catastrophically, flooding your body with such extreme amounts of thyroid hormone that your metabolism spikes to deadly levels. This thyroid storm causes your heart to race uncontrollably, your temperature to soar, and your organs to work overtime until they fail. Your heart can beat so fast and work so hard that it gives out from sheer exhaustion. It's like redlining an engine until it explodes. Your metabolism runs so hot and fast that it literally burns out your organs. The mortality rate is high even with aggressive treatment. We're entering the final moments of this exploration. The last 10 facts will bring our journey through human biological nightmares to its inevitable conclusion. Fact 91. Fat embolism. Traumatic injuries that fracture bones can cause fat from the bone marrow to enter your bloodstream. These fat droplets travel through your circulatory system and can lodge in your lungs, brain, or other vital organs, causing fat embolism syndrome. The fat blocks small blood vessels, starving tissue of oxygen. When it hits the lungs, it causes respiratory failure. When it reaches the brain, it causes confusion, seizures, and can lead to death. Your own body fat, forced into your bloodstream by trauma, becomes a weapon that can kill you from the inside. Fact 92. Toxic shock. The human body can experience toxic shock syndrome where bacterial toxins cause a sudden, severe drop in blood pressure and rapid organ failure, all within hours. Your blood pressure plummets, your organs shut down in sequence, and you can go from feeling relatively fine to dying in less than a day. The bacterial toxins trigger a massive immune response that becomes more dangerous than the bacteria themselves. Even with intensive medical care, the mortality rate remains significant. It's a race against time to support your failing organs until your body can clear the toxins. Fact 93. Nerve compression. Your spine can compress and herniate discs that then press on nerves, causing pain that radiates throughout your entire body like electricity. Some sufferers describe it as being continuously electrocuted, with jolts of severe pain shooting down their limbs whenever they move. The compressed nerve sends constant pain signals to your brain, creating suffering that can be so severe it leads to disability, depression, and in extreme cases, suicide from the unrelenting agony. The pain can persist for years or even become permanent if the nerve damage is severe enough. Fact 94. Rapid aging. Certain genetic mutations like Hutchinson-Gilford progeria syndrome cause children to age at approximately 10 times the normal rate. By age 10, they have the body of a 70 or 80-year-old, severe arthritis, cardiovascular disease, strokes, brittle bones. They watch their peers play while they shuffle around with the ailments of the elderly, trapped in a child's mind as their body rapidly deteriorates. Most die of heart disease or stroke before reaching their teenage years, having lived an entire lifetime of aging compressed into barely a decade. They die of old age before they're old enough to drive. Fact 95. Grotesque growth. The human body can develop tumors in the pituitary gland that cause uncontrollable growth hormone production. Acromegaly sufferers watch their features slowly distort and their bones thicken grotesquely over years. Their hands and feet enlarge, their jaw extends forward, their brow ridge becomes prominent, their organs grow larger. They watch themselves transform in the mirror, becoming someone unrecognizable as excess growth hormone warps their body. The changes are often irreversible even after treatment, leaving them permanently altered by their own hormones. Fact 96. Stomach twist. Your stomach can twist on itself, rotating around its attachment points and trapping food and gas inside. Gastric volvulus causes the stomach to strangle its own blood supply as it twists, cutting off circulation to stomach tissue. The trapped segment begins dying from lack of oxygen, and without emergency surgery to untwist it and remove dead tissue, gangrene sets in. The stomach literally strangles itself, dying inside you while the rest of your digestive system continues functioning, creating a pocket of dead, rotting tissue in your abdomen that will kill you from sepsis if not surgically addressed. Fact 97. Pressure necrosis. Prolonged unconsciousness or immobility causes pressure sores that start on the skin but can tunnel deep into tissue, exposing bone in severe cases. These bed sores can become infected with flesh-eating bacteria, creating wounds that consume you from the outside in. The pressure of lying in one position too long literally crushes your own tissue to death, cutting off blood supply and causing the skin and underlying tissue to die and rot while still attached to you. In severe cases, the necrotic tissue extends down to the bone, creating craters in your body that can take months or years to heal, if they heal at all. Fact 98. Anaphylactic death. The human body can experience such severe allergic reactions that the throat swells shut in minutes, cutting off your airway. Anaphylaxis can kill you in the time it takes to realize something is wrong. Eating a food you're allergic to, being stung by an insect. Receiving a medication. Your throat closes, your blood pressure drops, you can't breathe, and you have perhaps 5-10 minutes before brain damage from oxygen deprivation becomes permanent. Death can follow quickly after that if treatment isn't administered. Your immune system's overreaction to a harmless substance becomes the thing that kills you. Fact 99. Cytokine storm. Your immune system can go into such extreme overdrive while fighting an infection that it creates a cytokine storm, releasing so many inflammatory molecules that they cause more damage than the disease they're fighting. The immune response becomes more deadly than the infection itself, causing widespread tissue damage, organ failure, and death. COVID-19 made this phenomenon widely known, but it can occur with many infections. Your body's defense mechanism becomes so aggressive that it destroys healthy tissue indiscriminately, killing you in its attempt to save you. Fact 100. Terminal existence. The human body begins dying the moment it's born, and every single heartbeat, every single breath, every passing second brings you inexorably closer to inevitable system failure. Your telomeres shorten with each cell division, your DNA accumulates mutations, your organs gradually lose function, your cells become less efficient at repair. Your body is designed for obsolescence, constantly breaking down from the moment of conception until the final shutdown. We are all, every single one of us, slowly dying from the terminal condition called life itself. From the first breath to the last, you're on a one-way journey toward biological failure, and there's no escape from this fundamental truth of human existence. Thank you for watching this journey through the darker aspects of human biology. If you enjoyed this exploration of our fragile mortality, make sure to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what dark topic you'd like me to cover next. Until next time, remember that everything you just learned is happening inside you right now, every moment of every day, until the day it all finally stops.